pretty funny because of how time is not a real construct technically, but as far as we can tell as humans, it's very real in our realities. And so this episode is going to be all about time blocking, and exactly how you maximize those 24 hours that you have in a day to create the life that you want to have every single day. This is the Gen Ed Show. Welcome back to the Gen Ed Show. This is the place where we teach you how to trust yourself and succeed in the modern age. My name is Eduardo de las Cuevas, and I am your host. I'm a college dropout turned serial entrepreneur, currently owning and operating over multiple 6- and 7-figure businesses. And so I want to be able to teach you all the different things that you may not even know that you don't even know it. So with it, this episode is going to be all about time blocking. So you can see this nice stack of planners right next to me. I'm going to come right back to it. But so we're going to be going through this topic a little bit differently than some of the others. But we're going to start off very abstract, more conceptually based around time, and especially how time isn't necessarily real, but it is still technically real, at least for our realities. Obviously very conceptual. And then the other part from there will go into more concrete, tactical, technical ways of solving time and time blocking. It's going to involve more math. And so with it, we're going to start off with some concepts. So first thing, on an abstract point, I remember actually I was at FSU, and I was there with my roommate, and him and I, we were talking about, I don't know what. And so then we were talking about time management, obviously. And so he had said something, and I responded with, well, if you want to get better at time, if you want to get better at time management, then you're going to have more things to manage your time around. There's just no other way. And he's like, whoa, wait, that was actually really good. Say that again. And I was like, oh, say what? And so if you want to get better at time management, you must have more things to manage your time around. This is where a very common or arguably famous saying or adage, if you want something done, give it to a busy person, right? They have very little time, so they need to get everything done in the little bit of time that they have. And it was always very interesting because I remember when I first heard that and I was like, okay, I can kind of understand that. And I remember especially when I was running a sales office over the summer, I would work 80 hours a week, 90 hours a week, like grind, and I could get a lot done. But then it was funny, as soon as I went back to school and I stopped working nearly as much, and typically it was that first month or so of the fall semester, and I just would sit and vegetate way more, a lot of movies, a lot of video games, a lot of just couch potatoing, and just kind of a mental all right, decompressing from the summer. And then I would have the hardest time, because I had so little on my plate, the hardest time to finish my assignments. I mean, that was all I had to do, was just finish my assignments. I didn't have anything else. And I wasn't following through with that. I would procrastinate way more than I needed to, because it's funny how our minds work. But so with it, we function with deadlines very, very well. And with it, we can recognize that you have 24 hours and I have 24 hours, and Elon Musk or Warren Buffett or Bill Gates or, Kim Kardashian, we all have the same amount of hours in the day. So why are you and I distinctly different in our quality of lives? And why are you and I distinctly different from the billionaires in their quality of lives? How is it that they can be someone that's earning $10,000, $100,000, $1 million, $100 million in a day, whereas, we are trying to earn however much that we're trying to earn, or however much you may be earning right now. It's hard for us to conceptualize, but the reality is there are people with the same amount of hours in the day that are doing way more than you are. So if you go and reference some of the other business episodes, a lot of what we talk about and what is very useful here is like, how much is your time worth, right? How much do you value your time at? Okay. Because again, we can recognize that time isn't necessarily real, but also at the same time, we can recognize that time is how the world operates as far as we can tell, right? There are 24 hours in a day. You have your first 12 hours and your second 12 hours, and 8 or so of them are nighttime, and then a bunch, well, that's technically not true. You get the idea, right? There's a bunch of nighttime and there's a bunch of daytime, and it's all kind of changing. But so we understand time in a certain way, and depending on your language, you may understand time in a completely different context. Because a lot of it is based on the language, the way that we define or interpret time in our lives. For example, if you are someone that is constantly saying, I don't have time, oh, I don't have time, like I just can't find the time, I can't find the time, I can't find the time, like you're using these absolute terms like you can't or you don't, when realistically it's not an absolute reality, not that you can't or you don't, but more specifically in the better language would be, no, I don't want to spend my time doing that, I would rather do this, right? And the problem is that a lot of people will lie. You know, they try to be nice, maybe that happens to you, and you lie about things because you just want to be nice, and you don't want to say, no, I don't want to go to your party, I'd rather, you know, go do XYZ, or I'd rather go to this other party, or I'd rather actually just stay at home because, oh, what if they say this or think this way? Who cares, bro? It's your time. Who cares? Who cares? It's your time. You got to block it. You got to respect it, okay? Because it's all based on how you view it. Whether you have a lot of time or you have very little time is completely based on your perspective of how much time you have, and also with how you actually prioritize it. Because if you're spending all your time doing a bunch of low-end crap, of course your life is going to be very similar. And you're going to feel like you don't have time for stuff. And then you might actually be true, right? And then maybe you don't have time. You keep fucking wasting it on bullshit, all right? That's why I pay for someone to clean instead of me. Why would I spend an hour, 2 hours, 4 hours cleaning, doing dishes, laundry, you know, cleaning the house? Why would I do that when instead I can pay someone else $100, $200 to do it for me, and in that 1 hour I make $200? Or, you know, in those 4 hours I make a couple grand, or whatever, however much you're earning, right? It doesn't make any sense to waste time on things that aren't worth it. But it always comes back to how you value your time. If you want to keep wasting your time in a certain way, that's on you, bro. That is all on you. Because ultimately, we also need to build the habit of being mindful to time. I can promise you one of the things that I am absolutely phenomenal at is time management. And so this comes in two ways. One being the habit that I developed, and two is a quick little story. I remember it was myself and two of my friends. We were driving from Tallahassee to Jacksonville to take a flight out to Cancun for the weekend. And the flight was like really early from Jacksonville, which is like a 2.5 hour drive. So I picked up one friend that was near me, and we were going to go pick up the other friend because she was on the way to Jacksonville there in Tallahassee. And so I texted her. I just kind of went with my gut. I said, hey, I'm going to be outside at 3:27 a.m. Be outside. And lo and behold, I showed up at 3:27 a.m. and texted her like, hey, where are you? I'm outside. And she's like, what? I didn't actually believe that you would be here at that exact same time, at that time, because it was so specific. But I equate it a lot to just the habits that I've built. And so that's what these are, right? These are different planners. This one being of this year, 2022. And then now this one is going to be 2018. And then I've got my 2019, right? And I've got my 2020. And I've got my 2021. And if you're seeing this, you're probably sitting there thinking, okay, it kind of makes sense why Eduardo is where he is. Or at least getting a lot closer to everywhere he wants to go, right? Because I know exactly where my time is going. The same way I know exactly where all of my money is going. Because there's a saying, if you don't know where your money is going, where your time is going, you're going to spend all your time finding out where it went. And so I encourage you to build the habit not of being able to necessarily nail something down to the minute, because for myself, my life is led in 15-minute increments, right? I have appointments at 3:15, right, or at 11:45. You don't have to be that specific, but you do need to start tracking it, right? You need to build the habit of it, because ultimately what this is going to truly do for you is unlock a world of potential. Because when I was at FSU, the biggest thing that allowed me to be able to be in 2 different fraternities, campaign for student body president, lead an enjoyable social life, hence the 2 fraternities, but there's activities and then my social life. I also had a job, running another business with my roommate at the time, and also like 5 other organizations just randomly on campus. I was a policy director for the student board. I was something in dance marathon. I did a lot of different things, a lot of leadership positions. And I still slept 8 hours a day, and I still worked out most days of the week. Why could I do it and others didn't? Well, one, obviously a lot of people don't want to do that much, and that's fine. But don't say that you can't, because you can. Don't say that you can't, because you can, right? 100% you can, because all of it's going to be based on how you manage your time, because every minute planned is an hour saved, and I like to save time. I don't know about you, but I love to save time. And with this, I'll reference The Power of Now, move into the concrete, and wrap up this episode. The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle, I highly encourage you to read it. And it talks about how in the past lives regret. In the future lives anxiety. And it's only in the present that lives joy. And it is so much easier to be present in life because I know exactly what I'm doing, exactly where I'm supposed to be every single time. I'm not worried. I'm not questioning it. I know where I'm supposed to be. Do you? Do you know where you're supposed to be? Are you making a decision and getting specific? So that'll lead us into the concrete. Let's get specific. So what I had done every single year, and then I do it every quarter, is I create my desired outcomes, right? And so I'll take a little piece of paper and I'll write up here along the type, and I encourage you to do this for yourself, is just what are your desired outcomes? What do you want? So then from there, let's say like for mine at one point, I wanted to get my pilot's license, and I want to, earn $50,000, per month, and I want to, post, 10 times a week, and I want to, have lost 20 pounds, and I want to, travel to, I don't know, wherever, Dakota, whichever one, north or south. You get the idea, right? Make a specific list of your desired outcomes, and then from there measure it, okay? My pilot's license. How long is it going to take for me to get my pilot's license? Well, it's going to take about 1 time per week for 6 months. Cool. I need at least 20 hours legally, but instructors will probably have you go for like 30, 40, 50 hours, right? And so then you set it up, put it on a calendar, put it on a schedule, right? Decide and say how you are going to get to it and make a very specific decision, because then from there comes into actually blocking your time on a concrete level. And this will wrap us up. So there's 168 hours per week, right? 168 hours. So the question is, what are you doing with them? Well, let's look at it. If we go ahead and say that we're spending 8 hours a day, 7 days a week sleeping, which I know for a fact many of you are not, but 56 hours, right? So then that's going to bring us down to 112. So now if we're at 112, let's say that you work out 14 hours, 2 hours a day, 7 days a week. All right, you're probably not doing that, but you're, just keep along. We're now at 98. Okay, so now you're sleeping, you're going to the gym. Let's say that you want to eat food. Okay, let's say that you spend, let's say that you spend 2 hours a day, just straight up. You do nothing but sit down, eat food, 2 hours a day, 7 days a week. All right, another 14. So now we're going to be at 84. Now let's say you have a full-time job. All right, so full-time job minus 40 hours a week. So we're going to be at 44. Now let's say that you've got, another 2 hours a day of chores and bullshit. So, minus another 14, we're now at 30. Let's say that you want to go have fun with your friends, 2 hours a day, whatever, that's another 14. Now we're at 16 hours. All right, so far, you sleep 8 hours a day, you work out for 2 hours every single day, you sit down and eat food casually every single day, you do chores around your house every single day, you also hang out with your friends for 2 hours a day every single day, and you work a full-time job, 40 hours a week. And there's still 16 hours left. I'm curious, what's missing? Chores, family, friends, fun. We put gym, put all of, oh, you know what we forgot? Snapchat and TikTok and Instagram and Facebook and the bullshit and the bullshit and the bullshit and the bullshit, the things that consume your time and waste it. So now we can recognize, one, that there's probably a lot of time that you're not even aware that you're wasting, or that you could just be a lot more aware of how you're spending. And then from there, getting very specific with what you actually want, right? What are your desired outcomes this year, this month, this quarter, whatever, okay? And so now when we are very specific and we know where we want to go and how we want to be spending our time, now we need to write it down. We got to create our plan, right? All right, I'm going to do this on these days. This is the plan. So now we need discipline, right? We got to stick to the plan, because otherwise what's the point? But a lot of times what I've noticed is not that people don't want to stick to the plan. You've probably done this before. You do a great job of creating your plan and setting aside the time and how you want to do everything. But you can't, and it doesn't seem to be you. Like, you're trying your best, but just everything keeps pushing you off course, destroying your plan. Well, that's the thing. You can't just stick to the plan. You got to protect your plan too, right? You got to protect it. And so the way I like to think about it is you have to interrupt the interruptions. For example, one of the biggest ones that I knew for myself was especially over the summer. This is especially while I was still in college. I worked excessively over the summer because that's where I earned the bulk of my money for the year. And then it allowed me to honestly not have to do too much. It's why I was so involved on campus, because I didn't have to worry about money. I worked really hard over the summer to make a lot of it. But so the thing is that the biggest, some of the biggest things that I knew got in my way was obviously the fact that it was summer. Everyone wants to party. Everyone's out on the boat. I live in Miami. It's like the spot to be. It's not like I didn't have friends. I had a lot of friends that I did a lot of things, and there's so many other fun things I could have been doing. And there were a lot of people that would reach out to me. I had other people try and pitch me other businesses a lot of times too. Or even just like with my own family, my own friends, they want to see me this weekend, or hey, like this is going on or that's going on, Mother's Day, Father's Day, XYZ Day, July 4th Day, whatever the case, and so it's not that I don't believe in holidays. I definitely do. But I'm not going to fall for the idea that the only time that I can love my father and prove that love is on that one Father's Day. Okay? No, I don't believe that. Same thing with Mother's Day. Same thing with Valentine's Day. Yeah. With my wife, I like to believe that we're not going to predicate our love on one Valentine's Day, and we can do it the day before or the day after. Heck, in fact, let's do it the day after or the day before, because this way we don't have to wait in line, go through all the hullabaloo that every other human being wants to do, so that they don't have to feel like they're missing out and they get to feel like everybody else. If you're anything like me, you don't care about being like anybody else or like everybody else. You want to be just like you, the best you. And so with it, we have to decide on exactly what the best you actually wants and exactly how you're spending your time to do that. When are you doing it? Time block. Be disciplined and interrupt the interruptions. Have the conversations. Tell people, like I remember this one dude tried to pitch me, I forgot on what. And I said, hey man, dude, I really appreciate you reaching. This honestly sounds really interesting, and I'm honestly, I could probably do really well at it, but I'm actually already fully committed to something, and I would love for you to go ahead and reach out to me, and we can talk about this, but reach out to me in September. And this conversation was in April. So it's April, and I'm like, cool, I love it. Reach out to me in September. Never reached out to me. So another piece for salespeople, the fortune is in the follow-ups, okay? But so with it, make sure you interrupt the interruptions. Time blocking is critical. You're always going to have more money, and you can always have more energy. You're never going to have more time in life. Don't waste it. Don't squander it. Always choose more, and get really specific with how you're spending it and defend it, okay? Because if you want something done, give it to a busy person. So get busy. This is the Gen Ed Show. Thank you so much again for watching through. And big ask here at the end of the episode, obviously, to please go ahead, like and subscribe. And most importantly, because this is how we really grow, is through your love, through your support, sharing this show with your other family and friends, other entrepreneurs and salespeople, or really just anyone that could really value this perspective, this knowledge for their life in hitting their goals. So my name again is Eduardo de las Cuevas, the host, and this is the Gen Ed Show.